What's up, you guys? I'm getting this question a lot on my stream. Almost every time I stream, people are asking me, Stoopzz, what add-ons are you using? What is that add-on that shows all the abilities on the screen? I get this question so commonly, and the last time I posted an add-on video or a tutorial for add-ons was over like 2 years ago, and all of the add-ons in that video are very outdated. The thumbnail's disgusting, so I thought it'd be a good time to update the video and give you guys all the add-ons that I'm currently using, the ones that I recommend, the ones I think that are mandatory. So let's hop into this video. I'll break down all the add-ons that I'm using, the ones that I think are mandatory, and then the ones that I think are optional, but I highly recommend. It's actually funny, the last time I did this video, I was in Thunder Bluff, and I'm in the exact same city, so it's one of my favorite cities, so no surprise. But anyway, so hopping into these add-ons, the first add-on I'm going to recommend that all of you install, there's 3 options for this add-on. This is a mandatory add-on. Some of you guys already know this. It's going to be Gladius, Arena, or GladiusEX. I've been using Gladius for as long as I can remember. It's one of the oldest add-ons for World of Warcraft Arena. You guys have probably seen this one, but it's one of the add-ons that I think are mandatory for Arena. What it does is it creates frames on the side. Arena and GladiusEX will all do the same thing. Some players use Arena, some players use Gladius. Not many players use GladiusEX. It's like a more refined version and different version of Gladius in general. But what the purpose of this add-on is for is to create frames on the side of your screen, and it will track important things for you rather than just having those tiny little frames when you hop into Arena. For Arena 1, 2, and 3, maybe you're fighting a mage, a warrior, and like a holy paladin. It would track those on the side of your screen, but what it does is it shows you their trinkets, it shows you their dispels, but what it will also do is it will also track DRs. And this is the most important thing about this add-on, is tracking DRs for your enemies. If you do not know what diminishing returns are, I don't want to break too much into that in this video. Maybe I'll put a definition on the screen, but you can Google it. It will track things like polymorph, fear DR, stun DRs, and you need this to, really do Arena, because if you're messing up on your DRs, you're not going to go very far in Arena, and that is one of the big separating points between players that are not very good in Arena or are stuck at a certain rating, and then players that are excelling is they're not messing up their DRs, they're landing their stun. So I highly recommend you take the time to download this add-on. It's a mandatory one. You need it. Arena, Gladius, or GladiusEX. It's your choice based on the overall layout and how it looks. And yes, just by default, the add-on works just fine. Just type in /Gladius and you can adjust the bar width, the frame size, all of that stuff. Lock it into place when you're done and you're good to go. Now, the next add-on that I'm going to recommend that I think is necessary is Omnibar. Omnibar is one of the most important add-ons I think in the game right now. It's one of the most game-changing add-ons you can have as a player. Now, my screen looks very crazy right now. I have an entire video on how to set up Omnibar. The link to that video will be in the description. I'll also include my UI video. So if you like my UI, my bars, and the way it's set up, I'll include a tutorial on how to set up my UI also in the description box below. But the purpose of Omnibar is to track important abilities. Baseline, when you install the add-on, Omnibar is just going to track interrupts. And you can see it on the left side of my screen. It was right there. But it tracks interrupts. So if you're playing as a caster or a healer or like a mage or whatever, and you want to track interrupts so you can land those crucial casts, those crucial abilities, those crucial heals, you're going to need to know if the enemy has an interrupt available, a kick available, and Omnibar does that. But Omnibar will also track all abilities across the board. So you can see on the left side of my screen, I'm tracking these interrupts, and in the middle of my screen, I'm tracking all of these abilities. Now, I know it looks crazy, but again, I have a full in-depth video that I will include in the description box below on how you can set it up, how this add-on is game-changing, and why it's so important. But it's one of the add-ons that I think you absolutely need if you are trying to step into Arena. And that is it. Those are the 2 add-ons that I think you need to have, that are a must when stepping into Arena, that you'll be severely disadvantaged if you do not have. Again, the add-ons that I'm going to recommend now, the optional add-ons, I still think you should download and explore, because they are going to give you a huge advantage when compared to your opponent. I think for players that are coming back to the game that are new, or even experienced players, if you're not using these add-ons, it's going to be a big disadvantage in some cases. So all of them will be listed down below, but let's hop into now our optional add-ons. Now, the first add-on that I'm actually going to recommend is called Diminish. Diminish, I think, is very important for yourself and not so much your enemies and your allies and stuff like that. Diminish, what it will do, baseline, you want to go through all these options and just disable everything other than player. In my opinion, you want to have your player just checked. And what this will do if I test the toggle mode is it will show me the DRs on myself, meaning that if I go out there right now, I'm on diminishing return for polymorph, so I'm safe to go out there without eating a full polymorph. It will work the same with stuns, roots, and things like that. You want to know how long until I can go out there without getting polymorphed. So if you're a healer, or if you're somebody like a warrior and you're overextended and you don't want to get stuck in a kidney shot and die, you want to know, am I on DR for stun? How long am I out there? How long can I safely be out there without getting fully stuck in a kidney shot? How long can I stay out of D stance and be in battle stance as a warrior and not get stun locked? So Diminish is one that I recommend. Baseline, once again, it'll put it above your frames. You can mess with the sizing, just uncheck everything. Keep the player icon checked in the options, and then mess around with it further to see if you want to keep it or what you want to add to it. But baseline, it's one that I recommend and I think you should install because it will give you a big advantage, so you can be a better healer, a better DPS, all that good stuff. Now, the next add-on that I'm going to recommend is called BigDebuffs. You absolutely need BigDebuffs. What BigDebuffs will do is it will show you as a healer or even as a DPS. I'll show some footage here on the screen. When you're in a group and you have your raid style party frames, what it will do is it will show you if your ally is in a CC, an important CC, one that you can dispel as a healer. So for it's like a polymorph, or if he's in a hammer of justice and you can dispel that, it will blow up the icon to let you know that you can dispel this. If it's something that you can't dispel, it'll be smaller. Now you can mess with the options yourself. Now, if you're not a healer, I still recommend this add-on because it will show you if your ally has been interrupted, if your healer has been kicked. That way, if you're not in voice, if your healer got locked out on a cast and he can't heal you, you can play a bit more defensive or try to retreat and survive. So as a DPS, it's important to know if your healer has been in a polymorph, and you want to make that easy to see. And it's important to know if he's been locked out. And as a healer, you want to know easily if you can dispel something, and it's easier to see. So I highly recommend BigDebuffs. Again, all the stuff will be listed in the info box below. Now, another add-on that you're going to want to install that I recommend is actually called OmniCC. What OmniCC will do is it does a few things to it. Back in the day, you wouldn't have a cooldown timer text. It adds a cooldown timer text to your abilities. Now, in WoW, you actually have to enable this, but it will enable it for you, where it will let you know how long until your abilities back up. It will also let you know if you're out of range via abilities with just a nice little red on the number. I don't believe baseline WoW does this, but most importantly, what it will do, and I'll show some footage here on the screen, is it will show you in the frame here. So if you're looking at this torn frame, it will show you if he's popped an important CD like Recklessness, like Vendetta, or you'll see things like Disarm, or if he's cheap shotted, or if he's interrupted. It will show you if you kicked him, locked him out. It will fill his portrait with important information that you want to see that you wouldn't see otherwise unless you're looking at his debuffs or buffs, or you're tracking it via Omnibar. So it will show you, for example, if the Demon Hunter, or for example, let's say the mage has popped Icy Veins, you'll see it in his portrait, and that's an important CD that you want to know if he's used it or not. And sometimes it will just help your awareness. So it helps you with range, it helps you with CD timers, and it also helps you with important CDs that they're using via their class portrait. Now, one question that I actually get asked a lot, and I don't use this add-on as much anymore, is it's called NamePlateCooldowns. Stoopzz, what is that add-on that shows you the abilities over their portrait, over their head, over their nameplate, over their health bar that you see when you have it enabled in game? That's called NamePlateCooldowns. Once again, I'll show you an example on the screen. I don't use this as much anymore because I use just Omnibar now, and that tracks all of my CDs. However, I highly recommend that you get this if you are still learning the game, because what it will do is it will teach you what cooldowns and what they look like, the icon of the cooldown, what it looks like, and what class that icon or that ability correlates with. Because in Omnibar, you have to choose what abilities you want to track and how you want them to appear on your screen, and what ability specifically. So what this will do is it'll say, hey, that icon, that Recklessness icon matches the warrior. I'll add that to my Omnibar. So if you want to free up the clutter on your screen, if you want to just specifically track abilities for that specific class and how they correlate with that class, and you want that to be over their head so you can see if he's moving towards you, if he has kidney shot, if he has vendetta, if he has blind, if he has evasion, it will track that over their head. So it's called NamePlateCooldowns, and I recommend this add-on for beginners that are trying to learn what abilities do and what classes have what abilities. Another add-on that a lot of my viewers seem to really like is Doom Cooldown Pulse. I actually don't really recognize this add-on anymore. I don't really notice it. It's just there and it happens, and I don't seem to notice it. But what it does, and I think it's great for people that are beginning to try out a new class, so they're beginner at a new class, is what it will do is it will track abilities, cooldowns, by putting like a simple vague icon in the middle of your screen. So if I use an ability, oh shit, I just fell, please don't let me die. All right, great. And the walk back sucks. Okay. All right, so after dying there, for example, if I use my rising sun kick, it will appear back on my screen as a flash as it's coming off cooldown. So if you are trying to learn a new class and you don't really know the timings of your CDs very well, you'll see right there that I have it set up to where it's gonna flash on my screen. You can make this thing huge, you can make it large, you can make it small, you can make it faded, you can make it tiny. I think it's a great add-on for beginners that are trying to pick up a new class and don't know the timings of their CDs. So if this is one that you're interested in and you want to pick this one up, again, it's called Doom Cooldown Pulse. All you have to do is type in /DCP in the search bar and the options will pop up, and you can adjust the scaling, the sizing. If I want to make it huge, I can make it very big. I can make the animation scaling very tiny. So it's up to you and how you want to do it. Another add-on that I really recommend is details. Now, a lot of people have different add-ons like SCADA or like damage meters. I don't know. Details is very thorough for PvP, and it's a very useful add-on that you'll see a lot of players using. Sometimes it's hidden on their screen and they have it somewhere like as an option on their mini map. But what this add-on will do is it will show you a breakdown of all the damage dealing abilities that somebody's doing. It will show you the amount of healing you did compared to another healer, and it saves your past games so you can look back and see on a specific map like what happened. You know, what happened on Tiger's Peak, how much healing did I do, or what was my top heal. You can also see things like uptime, for example. So if you want to know if your Azurite trait is working as intended, you can see buff uptime, and I can see, oh, like for example, one of my, versatile navigation was up at 71% uptime. Renewing Mist had 61% uptime. Chi Torpedo speed was up at this much. So you can see the breakdown of how often your uptime is on certain buffs, traits, procs, things like that. It breaks down everything. You can look at purges, all of those things. So if you're wondering how many kicks did you land that game, and if you're not in voice, for example, this warrior landed 1 interrupt the entire game. He only kicked 1 thing, and you can see what he interrupted. So you can do this for your partners as well. If you're playing with like a warlock or a mage and you're getting polymorphed a lot and you're asking him, you need to stop these polymorphs, so you can actually go back and look and see how many times he interrupted and what he actually interrupted. So I think this is a great add-on. It's pretty simple to use. Another great add-on is called TellMeWhen. Now, it's also in my UI video, so I won't go too much into depth, but what it does, let's say, for example, you want to make it so that you can see your kick much easier, your interrupt, your purge, your counterspell, your large cooldowns, and you want to make it easier to see on your screen. You can just drag an ability on it and it'll let you know how many rolls or how many cheat torpedoes you have, etc., and it will track those abilities for you, and it counts the cooldown, the timer, the charge, all that good stuff. So this is a great add-on for people that want to track things like interrupt. They want to track their trinket much easier, and they don't want it to be on their bar, so I can take it off my bar and then use TellMeWhen. Again, I talk about it and how to set it up in my UI video, but I think it's a great learning tool for people. You can put one ability on there for a week because you're not forgetting to use it. Maybe you're forgetting to use your wall as a healer. Maybe you're forgetting to use one of your abilities consistently every game. You can put it on TellMeWhen, leave it that way for that week, and then rotate other abilities out that you keep forgetting to use, and then eventually you won't need to use TellMeWhen. But I think it's a great add-on to start out with. Now, another great add-on that you can use is PartyAbilityBars. Some players use this. I think it's a great add-on if you're somebody that can't get in voice, or if you're playing with people that don't want to get in voice, if you're just an LFG. What it will do is it will put your friend, their abilities next to your raid frame. So for example, if you want to know if your priest has dispersion, if your paladin has bubble, if they have trinket, you're gonna have to manually set up some of these, but it can track ally cooldowns next to their frame, so you don't need to be in voice with them to ask them, do you have dispersion? Do you have bubble? Do you have a kick up? You can see all of that next to their frames, and a lot of players use this. Even if you're in voice, it's a great add-on to have. I'll show some examples here on the screen, but it's a great add-on for players that can't get in voice or players that just want to track certain CDs. So I highly recommend PartyAbilityBars. It's not a mandatory one, but it's a great add-on to use overall, and I think it's a huge advantage when compared to some of the other add-ons I mentioned in this video. But those are just my add-ons, you guys. There's a ton of add-ons I didn't mention, like Gladiator Losa. I don't recommend that add-on anymore. I think it hinders your performance way too much and you rely on it way too much. There's also add-ons like Weak Auras, but I personally don't have a lot of experience with Weak Auras. I don't use it that much. I just use TellMeWhen. That's my personal preference and opinion. All of them will be linked in the description box below. You can check them out. Download the Curse client, download the Twitch client, download those add-ons somehow, get them in your folder, get going. You should have these add-ons installed. You should at least check them out if you don't have them installed. I think they'll be a huge advantage to you when stepping into the arena. That's gonna do it for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to let me know by subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. If you have any other add-ons that you want to list, you can let me know in the comment section below, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. Try not to miss me on my Twitch live stream or answer all of your guys' questions in depth. Do not forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.